Get started. How's it go? What is your name?
Jason Allabaugh. It's spelled Allabaugh.
What year were you born?
1976.
Where did you live when you became part of the military?
I was living in Monette, Missouri.
What branch of service were you a part of?
United States Army.
How did they get you in the service, volunteered or drafted?
I volunteered in 1997.
What made you volunteer? Like, why did you?
I come from a long line of military veterans, dated back to Revolutionary War. So, kind of an honor.
Where was your basic training?
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in 1997.
Where were you sent after basic for advanced training?
Fort Sam Houston, Texas, for combat medic training.
What was your job when you began?
Combat medic.
What was happening in the world when you were in the military?
Nothing up until September 11, 2001. That's when I was actually on duty and watched the planes hit. At that time, we all knew we were going to war.
What made you want to become a medic?
I guess I'm kind of a healer at heart. I like to, I love medical. My mother was a nurse, and my sister was a nurse, or a nurse anesthetist, and so just felt it was my calling.
How long did you serve?
19 years and 1 month.
What was your favorite memory of your whole time served?
Probably basic and AIT, where I got to meet a lot of people and friends that I still keep in contact with, that I recently found on Facebook. But that's where I made, camaraderie with people and just some good friends.
Was there a reason for you to get out?
I was medically retired due to injuries from Iraq War in 2005 and 2006.
What engagements can you remember from serving?
Engagements as far as wars? Iraq. I was there 2005 and 2006. That was pretty much, we're the third year into the Iraq War, and it was getting pretty heavy at that time.
What was the hardest thing about being in the service?
The hardest, losing a patient. Mainly kids. They're over there that suicide bombers or terrorists, they don't care about who it is or what they're hurting. And so that was the hardest part, losing kids.
So you weren't just a medic for the soldiers, you were a medic for anyone?
You're right.
So you felt emotionally attached to your patients that you had?
Oh yeah, I do. I did everything I could in my power to save them and do as much as I could.
How many other medics were there? Were you?
In our battalion, there was nine medics. I was one of the senior medics, along with another guy.
What qualities did you believe you carried from the military to where you are today?
Integrity, honor, to do the right thing at all times, no matter what. And I instill that into the kids that I come in contact with today, and my children.
What are your most enduring memories of your time in service?
enduring memories. Flying over to Iraq. Not really understanding. I mean, it was all like a dream until we were actually boots on ground. That we were actually there. It didn't seem real until got shot at the first time.
So you're married. Were you married at the time?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it was like for her? Or did she ever send you letters or anything?
She did. It was tough. I volunteered to go, and so it was tough. She was at home with two little girls. My one daughter, she was 2, and my youngest had just turned a year old when I left. So it was a tough time, but she's a strong woman, and she wrote me letters, and we were able to talk on the phone, and actually video Skyped, I think, a couple times. But there was times where we'd go and wouldn't talk for 3 or 4 weeks. So it was tough on her.
Did you have like certain times in like the service where you could like talk to your family or whatever, and like certain times where you couldn't?
Yep, there were blackout times where we couldn't talk to them because of missions that we were going on, or if our base had got mortared or attacked. It's called blackout, so it cut off all communications, and sometimes that lasted 2 weeks.
While they cut off communications, if your wife had sent you a letter, do you know if they like held on to it until the blackout was over, or?
Yeah, they would hold on to them. Sometimes I wouldn't get them for 3 or 4 weeks after, but they would hold on to them just because they don't want the mail intercepted and anything coming back on our families.
Are there any stories that you tell people that like ask you about their time?
Yeah, it just what I did is I did route clearance. So what we did is we cleared the main road supply routes for supplies that were going to different parts of Iraq. We cleared those with IEDs. So we were pretty much moving targets, and I'm pretty faithful, and, you know, I believe in God, and He truly saved me over there. And the one time that I remember is we were in a gunfight, and I remember bullets hitting all around me on the vehicle, and it was just a miracle I didn't get hit. But when it was over and I stepped away, you could see my silhouette where the bullets just went around me. So I know there was an angel watching.
So you obviously saw a lot of bad. Did your faith ever waver because of it?
No.
Do they have services over there, like?
Yep, we had services every Sunday, or, you know, whenever we can go talk to our priest over there, or the minister.
Do you ever get back together with the people that you served with?
I do sometimes. Actually, I just got in contact with a couple of my medics that were over there, who I found out live down at the lake now, and two in Kansas City. And we're all the medics are gonna get together. It's been tough. I mean, we don't like to remember things. So we finally have come up on 12 years. So they said enough time's passed.
So is it hard to like have small talk with them? Like, you went through such a big part of your life with them, but you don't really want to talk about it either, so.
It was at first, but now we're able to open up to each other more and talk about things.
Did you ever have like bad experiences with like the people that you were in service with?
So just not, what
Like
do you mean?
just personal?
Yes and no. There were some instances where, you know, you just don't get along with somebody, but you put all that aside because you're there for a mission and a duty, and kind of push through it and make amends and do what you gotta do. I mean, there were some cool parts about being over there too, because I got to sit on his palace, sit on his couches, fishing in his ponds over there. I actually got to. There's a picture in there of the where Abraham lived. I got to visit there, which was really cool, and just knowing that I walked where Abraham walked.
These are the pictures that you're gonna.
The Euphrates. I got to touch the Euphrates, the Tigris, and that's the Tigris right there.
This.
Mhm.
I don't know. And this is you.
Yep, that was we were doing a convoy prep. I was a gunner on the 50 cal.
So as a medic, you also got to.
I did because our missions sometimes lasted 18 hours, and sometimes the gunners would get really tired. And I'm a medic. I'm not supposed to be a combative person, but you do what you have to do. Yes, there was a McDonald's at Ali Al Salim Air Base in Kuwait when we first got there, so I had to get a picture of it. And a Pizza Hut. Yep, that's right there. That's where Abraham lived. That was in Nazareth.
So did you have to go through like all the training that everybody else did, even though you were just a medic?
Yes, everybody goes through the same exact training. And medics even go for more training because we're there pretty much to save the lives of whoever gets injured. There were times where I think there's a picture in there of a Humvee driving, and it's just a dust bowl. Oh, it's not in here. There's like a sandstorm. When a sandstorm comes, you can't see anything, and so you're the only. If you're outside the wire, which is outside the wire means you have a FOB. It's a forward operating base. If you leave outside of there, that's called outside the wire, leaving the wire. You're the only medical personnel to save somebody because helicopters can't fly in because there's a sandstorm. It gets in their engines and it'll crash. So there's times where you're just the medic, and so you go through additional training down at Camp Bullis, Texas, down in San Antonio. So you go for an additional 2 to 3 weeks training down there. And then even when you're there, you're just always training and going through scenarios. And I was the CLS Combat Lifesaver senior instructor, where we teach non-medical personnel what to do, buddy aid, what to do to save somebody else's life if we can't make it there, or attempt to save their life. That's my good buddies. I'm still good friends with him, Whitlow and Kamer. And that's on top of the That's me and PFC Palmer.
So do they have someone there specifically for taking pictures, or do you guys?
No,
Okay.
we brought our own. And I think the unit had some public affairs, but I never met them. I was too busy.
Mm-hmm.
So was it always like really hot there, or what was the weather like?
No, actually, surprisingly, sometimes at nighttime, it's a desert. It gets freezing, so it would get down to 20 degrees, 25 degrees. It hailed there a few times, but during the summer it did get hot. I remember a picture I took of a thermometer, which was 120 degrees in the shade. And so that's not counting, our body armor was like 70 pounds, my aid back was 75 pounds, plus everything that you have to wear. I think I lost a total of 72 pounds, just sweating it out.
So was it hard to work in that, like the weather conditions?
It is, but you acclimatize yourself to it, and They give, like, when you first get to Allabaugh, which is in Kuwait, you go up to what's called Camp Buehring. You're supposed to go up there and do like a week or two training to acclimatize yourself, but I went past that. I didn't go. I said I wanted to get with my men, so. And then these are Japanese medics that I met. And that's the rugs that they had, it was called bazaars. It's like a little shopping center. They would have different places. You can get all kinds of stuff. We were able to get DVDs before they even come out over here. Movies.
Really?
Of brand new movies. Sometimes it was good quality, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was English, sometimes it wasn't. They had it was just amazing that what you can get over there as opposed you can't get here because of trade laws and copyrights. You can buy Rolexes over there. They weren't real, but you could buy Rolexes. But it was a good time, and another good part was I went to Qatar, which is right where Saudi Arabia is, for 4 days, and did a little R&R down there, and it was nice. And then came home, and then went back, and then came home.
Did you learn like new medical skills that you didn't have before you actually went into the service?
Yep, I learned how to do what's called a tracheotomy, going through the throat in order to help somebody breathe. Chest tubes. I helped out in surgeries. When I wasn't outside the wire, I would go to the hospital or the aid tent and I would help out. Got to help out with surgeries and stuff.
Do you think you ever educated anyone else, like any other medics?
Oh yeah.
Do certain things?
Yeah, well, I always make sure, my medics that I had with my unit, I always took them with me and said, hey, this is stuff we have to learn. And actually, one guy, he's now a nurse and got out of the Army, now is back in the Army as a captain. So it's pretty cool.
So you went to all the training you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could go back in and you don't have to be a medic, you could be...
if I was physically able to, yeah, I can go in and do whatever job I wanted to do. But I like being a medic. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, I was actually there after I got back from Iraq. I was a combatives instructor, combat lifesaver instructor, a Humvee escape trainer. I did all kinds of things.
Did you ever regret your time over there?
No. It's a part of my life that I'll always remember. And I did my duty.
And you said you had 2 daughters?
I actually have 3 daughters and 1 son.
3 daughters and 1 son. Do you think that they will ever join the Army as well? Or will you encourage them to?
I won't encourage or discourage. It is entirely up to them. I do let them know that that was the best time of my life. I got to travel, see the world, and meet different people from everywhere. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without doing it. But they are their own individuals, and I feel like I've done my time enough for our family.
What's the #1 thing that you, a takeaway or something you learned?
From the Army? Camaraderie. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, purple, orange, you're all there for one purpose. And you stand shoulder to shoulder with everybody, regardless of race, color, sex. You're just there to do a job and defend our country.
Anything else?
No.